We'll spend the next several times together in our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast in Revelation chapter 13, where we have some very interesting and fascinating details during the tribulation period. And from chapter 13 through chapter 19, the key character is what we call the Antichrist. Now, I've mentioned before that the Antichrist is never called the Antichrist in the New Testament or the Old. He's called the beast, and as we'll see, he's called the beast out of the sea here, and various other names, but the man of lawlessness. But we know him best by the term Antichrist, so that's kind of what we'll go with here. And as we open up chapter 13 of Revelation, we have this picture of two beasts actually in this chapter. And the first one is the Antichrist, we believe. But take a look at this with me. It says, verse 1, "And the dragon stood on the sand of the seashore." Remember, the dragon is the devil. "And then I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 diadems, and on his heads were blasphemous names." So this beast comes out of the sea. There have been considerable conjecture as what that means, coming out of the sea. Some think that means coming out of the sea of humanity. Others believe this is a picture of even the abyss, and so coming out of the sea of iniquity or evilness. Possibly, perhaps that's the case. Maybe it's simply that a distinction between this beast and the second one. So we really don't know exactly what this means. But we do know that with the picture of his horns and his heads and his diadems, although not identical to what we see back in chapter 12, verse 3 concerning the devil, is very, very similar. So we know right up front that this is the devil's man, even though it's going to get much clearer as we go through the chapter. This is Satan's person. He is a person sent forth by the devil to do his work. And we find in verse 2, it says, "And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion." We could stop there for a moment. We see these metaphors, these pictures of ferocious beasts that depict what the Antichrist is like. We can go a little further, though. These are the same kind of beasts mentioned in the book of Daniel that describe the empires of that time, the great empires, the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire. Those pictures describe different ones of them describe them. So we have to go back and say this is somehow rolling together all these great empires of the past, and he's going to take on the manifestations and the ferociousness and the evilness of those empires of ancient times. There's a connection there to some degree. But we move on, and it says the dragon gave him his power and his throne and his authority. So everything that the Antichrist has, all of his power and authority, is going to be derived from the devil himself. So while we believe this is a mortal man, this is a human being, he is not a normal human being. He is fully possessed of Satan. Satan controls him. Satan empowers him. He's the devil's man. "And I saw one of his heads as if it had been slain, and a fatal wound was healed. And the whole earth was amazed and followed after the beast." One of the things we know about the devil is he's a great counterfeiter, and as we move throughout the descriptions of the beast, we find just how much he tries to counterfeit Christ and the things of Christ. We have virtually an unholy trinity with Satan, the Antichrist, and later on we'll see the false prophet. But at this point we see what a similarity between the Antichrist and Jesus himself. We know that Jesus died and was resurrected. And so the Antichrist is dead. He dies. He has been slain. He has a mortal wound, and he has been healed. He's been somehow resurrected, brought back to life. We're not sure if he had died or not. It says here as if he had been slain, so perhaps it seemed like he had died. But the world certainly thought he had died because the whole earth is amazed, and they follow after the beast. So we have the death of the Antichrist, the resurrection of the Antichrist in some fashion, and then the world is amazed by that. Notice what the world does here. Not only are they amazed and follow him, but in verse 4, they worship the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who is able to wage war against him?" So as always, the devil wants to be worshiped. I think that is his principal desire. I think that is what caused him to fall. That is what he wanted Jesus to do when he was tempted in the wilderness. He wants to be worshiped. And so finally he gets his wish. The world worships him, and the world worships his man, the Antichrist, or as he's called here, the beast, who is able to make war. And it says, who is able to make war with him? Who can stand up against the Antichrist at this point? His power is immense. A lot more is going to be said about this in this chapter, and we'll pick that up tomorrow. I hope you can join us.